Hi guys, and welcome to I'm guessing it will be a very much an anticipated and watched review, because well, the main attraction is of course the AüR Audio Neon 10BA earphone. That's the main reason for this review, but the two IEMs that I'm using to compare it to are also two amazing IEMs. One is the AudioSense DT600, which those of you that follow me know what I feel and what my opinion of it is. And the other is the AudioSense also, but the T800, an older model. Although this version that I have is from what I understand, I was actually the last one to have purchased the T800. So this is the final T800 that was manufactured. And from what I graphed compared to the graph of Clinical, and I'll just quickly show you, it is slightly different. So just give me a second there. Okay, so this is Kren's graph. The red line is what we want to look at. Okay, that's the graph that he had, or that he did, of the T800, and the blue line here is my graph. So just going back and forth here quickly, so you can see he has way more energy below 100 hertz. Below 100 hertz I have kind of a plateau up to 40 and then a drop off. Then the mids, they kind of very similar, coming down to about 1K, then going up to a peak of 4K in his case roughly. I also have that peak around 4K but less intense, then drops and goes back up again to about 8. Same thing as him, but he has a bigger drop, and then it tapers off, while my one also tapers off but in a slightly different manner. So there is more energy here. Just post 10K I have less energy, but the biggest difference is in the below 100 hertz. So I don't know if this was a coupler related thing, or if in fact there was a retune or whatever. All I know is the T800, well, this one that I got at least, is spectacular. Okay, so first things first, let me just run through all of these IEMs individually, and then we'll start comparing and doing all the good things that everybody wants to know. Okay, let's start with the DT600. What can be said? It's one of my favorite IEMs. Flawless construction. Let me just try and zoom this in. Okay, there we go. So in terms of construction, flawless. It's a beautiful resin shell, 6 IEMs, 2 bass, 2 mid-range, and 2 high frequency BAs. I'm using an XI-NHS cable, MMCX connector. It fits perfectly in my ears, no issues. Isolation is perfect. I mean, tremendous IEM in every aspect, at least in my modest opinion. The graph of this IEM initially wasn't a very impressive graph. The same happened with the DT300. However, once you put the 80 ohm impedance adapter, this thing just becomes a total different beast. I mean, what can I say? The sound is just it's just top class. It's just a top class sound. It has I would say a V-ish. I'm just getting my notes here so I don't miss what I want to mention. So it's got a kind of a V-ish harmony signature. So the below 100 hertz area becomes quite emphasized. So it's sub bass emphasized, even without the 80 ohm impedance adapter. Mid bass is more laid back. So the bass is super deep, super textured. What I can say about the bass is that it's effortless. Period. Vocals absolutely stunning, super detailed. I mean, perfect in every aspect. I don't find them forward. Nothing. Just flawless. Soundstage and imaging, very good. Soundstage is pretty wide. I would like it to be a little bit deeper, but it's pretty wide. Imaging is spot on. Um, it's in terms of its detail retrieval, it's very clean, very detailed, and that cleanliness and detail can sometimes lend the tonality and the timbre to be a little bit cold, but it's only in very few occasions. Otherwise, it's flawless, really flawless. It is really a spectacular IM, especially when you consider its price of around $220. Okay, so well done. Second, I'll actually talk about the T800, and then we'll go on to our star of the show. T800, 8BA per side. Again, the shell, flawless, nothing to be said. Excellent quality of construction, fits perfectly in my ears. The isolation, once the insertion is nice and deep, is perfect. There's nothing I can really falter on it. What are the characteristics in terms of sound and technicalities and so on and so forth? Bass. Honestly, looking at the graph, you would say, oh, it's got less bass than the DT600. It's no. This thing is a bass monster. It has got bass like you would not believe, and it's in your, it's there, bam, you feel it. It's super fast. The DK it's bam, it hits you and goes away straight away. Very clean, very textured. The bass is just unreal. The mids is in every aspect as good as the mids of the DT600. I've got nothing to say about that. And then the highs, there were people that said, oh, the highs on the T800 are aggressive and this and well, what I can say about this particular set of T800s is it is perfect. Very laid back highs, especially in comparison with the DT600. It actually seems like it's got less highs than the DT600. But it's a super energetic IM with, it will play well everything, really well, the coherence, the way that all the drivers have been matched, and we're talking 8 drivers, has been perfectly done in my opinion. Soundstage is huge. It's kind of an out of your head soundstage. Imaging is, honestly, I was actually speaking to Michael Bruce a few days ago. Some of you guys might know him. And I was telling him, wow, this thing is just, oh my God. And it is. Imaging is unbelievable on this thing. Timbre, tonality, I would say is every bit as good, maybe perhaps even better than the DT600 in certain instances. And detail retrieval is basically the same. So if I'm to compare these two, the DT600 and the T800, I would say the DT600 is a more laid back kind of a guy, and the T800 is a full on, I've just taken 4 speeds and I'm all full of energy kind of presentation. But never does this presentation or this when kind of spoil things or get things out of hand, because you give it power, and although it's very sensitive, and although it has a very low impedance, and that will dictate obviously that you have to be careful with what you choose, it takes power very nicely, and it is tremendous. Seriously, I was very surprised with the T800, very surprised. Okay, I'm using the cable I'm using in it as well is an XI NHS cable, as you can see. Okay, that brings us to our star of the show. In terms of price, let me just recap. $220, around $300. This brings us to the star of our show, the AüR Audio Neon 10 BA set. It uses, from what I was able to ascertain, 38 and 37 series in the bass, 23 series in the mid-range, and a Knowles custom on the high end. Flawlessly tuned. That's the first thing I'm going to say. Matched to perfection, left and right channel. the shells are huge, huge. I mean, let me try and see if I can actually give you a comparison here. So that's the DT600 with the Neon. Okay, it's a huge shell. Let me get here the T800 and the T800 as well. Okay, so it's kind of baby, bigger brother, older brother. Okay, so in terms of size, if I'm gonna line them up in growing, we can put it this way. So you can definitely see the Neon is not a small earphone, and that obviously does play a part in terms of how it will fit smaller ears, especially. I mean, the one that is the easiest fit is the DT600. Undeniably, the DT600 is the one that fits easier and will probably fit easier most people. The T800 is already a little bit problematic, although I didn't find any issues with it. And the Neon, although very big for my ears, funny enough, it actually inserted quite well in where it had to go in and stay put. So I wasn't really, it didn't really bother me, but you can feel, I could feel that I had something bigger than usual in my ears. Okay, as I was saying, so construction, beautiful. The shell is, I mean, you guys might have recalled that I recently reviewed a QDC, the D-Magic Solo, and I was absolutely, you know, blown away by its construction, the resin that they used, the way that it's, out of all the IMs I have, I think it's the most, well, visually at least, the most visually well done, because the resin is such of high quality that it actually looks like it's glass. The Neon is, I'm not going to say on the same level, because it isn't, but when compared to the AudioSense the two that I have here, it's on the same level, easily. And that's saying a lot, because, you know, I rate always AudioSense extremely well in terms of their quality of construction. So quality of construction, the solidity of the IEM, there's nothing, but nothing that can be actually, let me try and just zoom this in slightly. So you got, the lighting here isn't actually the best, but you can see, you can kind of see inside some of the BAs. There's a crossover network. It apparently is using Murata capacitors. There we go. I mean, quality is just very good. I mean, I guess this is, I guess, what you expect when you're playing around $500. So you want this kind of quality. Okay, on to sound. And in a kind of nutshell, and I'll get into it a little bit more now, it's, these two had a baby. Okay, so what do I mean by that? It has that deep sub-bass capability that the DT600 offers, but with the fast, impactful bass that the T800 offers. So it's kind of got the bass that these two have in one cohesive package there. Perfect. It's fast, it's quick, the attack is, it's there, it's bam, in and out, no questions. The mids on this thing are, and for me personally, the IM that I own, of all the IMs that I own, that has the most amazing mids I've heard up to date, is the DT200 from AudioSense. That's my reference in terms of mids, and this is on the same level as the DT200. For me, this has the same quality of mids as the DT200. The mids are spectacular, spectacular. Seriously, the vocals, the I mean, I don't want to kind of sound like I'm exaggerating or overhyping it, but honestly, I did not find one song of what I hear, and like I said, I'll post the playlist so you guys can have an idea of what kind of music I listen to. I did not find one song that the vocals, male or female, were wrong, that they didn't sound perfect. um, timbre, tonality, everything was just the right amount. There was nothing there that I really, could falter. In terms of the high frequency, very smooth, an in between again of these two. Um, Maybe in certain instances not as bright as the DT600, and so there would be maybe one or two songs that I would have liked to have a little bit more, a little bit more cleanliness up top, but nothing that honestly I can even consider a fault. The same way as in just one or two songs, maybe the DT600 had just slight little bit more sub bass, but honestly, it's really nothing that can be considered, at least for me, a deal breaker or something that is a fault or anything of the sort. Technicalities wise, soundstage, tremendous, wide, deep, everything. It's a soundstage. If the T800 has a better soundstage than the DT600, this one has a better soundstage, slightly better, slightly better soundstage than even the T800. Imaging, in my opinion, is slightly behind the T800, but again, I mean, this is me really, really nitpicking and really kind of, oh, well, no. I mean, imaging, spotless. Detailed retrieval is on par with the other two. So in terms of technicalities, soundstage, Neon, imaging, T800, detailed retrieval, very much equal, very much equal. Although these two, the Neon and the T800, slightly edge out sometimes in certain songs, the DT600, and then sometimes other songs, the the Neon and the DT600 will slightly edge out the T800 in detail retrieval. Yeah, that's kind of a basic run through of everything. What more can I say? I'm using the cable that I'm using here is IVPQ IVIPQ cable. Very similar quality to the XI NHS cables. It's another brand that I actually found on AliExpress, and I've bought some cables off them. And like I said, the cable quality is on par with. I mean, these two cables are supposedly the same cable that one company makes and the other company makes, and I cannot really tell them apart, honestly. I cannot really tell them apart. This is the XI NHS and this is the IVIPQ version. So yeah, that's basically it. What is my final conclusion here? What is my final take on this? Simple. This, the AüR Audio Neon, is the winner simply because it is able of taking what the DT600 does well and what the T800 does well, and bring it together in a single package. In terms of price, this again is always a very relative thing. I mean, I have my personal opinion, and quality has to be paid, obviously. And being a smaller, younger company that doesn't have still the size of AudioSense or many other companies, I'm guessing that they are not able to do things at a competitive price, let's put it that way, compared to AudioSense. If I go and compare it to other stuff, more high-end stuff, and in that aspect, if the DT600, and I said that before, I believe the DT600 can compete with way more expensive IEMs. The same thing applies to the T800. I believe the T800 can compete with way more expensive IEMs than its price would suggest. The same thing applies here. So I don't see this having any problem in competing with much more expensive IEMs, some soft ears, some Shure, some 64 audio, perhaps even 64 audio, and also even QDC. I mean, I understand that some comparisons were made between the Neon as well and the QDC Anole VX. I haven't heard the Anole VX, so what I'm going to say is based on what people heard and what people transmitted, was that it was able to put up a hell of a fight. And I guess that's saying a lot, because that's an IM which is substantially more expensive than this. And yeah, that's basically it. Just trying to show you here again. Hold on. Here we go. Trying to show you. There's the crossover network. There's the BAs inside. You can see the tubes with the, oops, sorry, you can actually see the tubes there with the filters for the tuning. That's it. There we go. That's it, guys. Like I was saying, AüR Audio Neon, definitely something that I think should be in your guys' list, to at least listen to it. If you don't want to buy it, at least try and find a way of listening to it. I know it's not going to be easy, because, as I said, from what I understand, this is the first pair to have been sold. Okay, so it's not going to be easy, but I can say in full confidence that it's fulfilled my expectations totally. I can even mention that my wife even told me, well, these are gonna find a new owner, and you can really understand what she was saying by that. So yeah. Oh, just one final thing that I wanted to mention is, in terms of the packaging of the AüR Audio, I didn't show it because I received it in a very basic package, which I believe is something which they are working on, in terms of having a nicer presentation with a nice accessories package and cable and so on and so forth. So I didn't mention anything about the packaging in that aspect. As for the packaging of the AudioSense, I mean, they require no real talk by me, because I mean, the boxes, I'm actually using an AudioSense box as well on the AüR Audio. The carrying cases, the cable that they bring, the amount of tips, everything in terms of accessories when it comes to AudioSense is top notch. And that's where I think that's one of the points where I think AudioSense many times scores points against other IEMs. For example, on the DT300 versus the C Audio Bravery, a lot of hype was made on the DT3 on the Bravery, saying, oh, it has a Hakugai cable and ASLA tips and this and that. But honestly, that doesn't justify a price difference of around $80 of the Bravery over the DT300, when the DT300 is, in my opinion, a superior IEM. It is, period. And I think that is also the case when it comes to the DT600 and the case from the T800. The accessories package is always very complete, and I believe that AüR Audio is also working on that with regards to the Neon. And they've also got another IM which is going to be coming out in very limited numbers, which is the Volt, which is a 10 BA plus 4 EST. So it's a hybrid, but using BAs and ESTs. And that is actually something that I'm looking forward to as well. I'm going to try and see if I can get my hands on that, because it's using a whole bunch of custom-made Knowles BAs for the bass, and the ESTs are Sonion. And what I've seen so far of it, it looks promising. Anyway, guys, I'm not gonna carry on here ranting and blah blah and blah. That's my take on the AüR Audio Neon, and a take on the T800 as well, which on the AudioSense T800 as well, which like I said, this is, as far as I know, the last T800 that was sold. It's mine, so that's it. I will sell it for a premium. No, I'm just joking. So the last T800 made, from what I was able to see graphically, slightly different than the other, well, the first versions. Oh, I was almost forgetting. Let me just show you the graph quickly of the three IEMs together. There we go. Okay. So red line. We have the DT600, as you can see. Loads of sub bass, goes smoothly into the mids, then has a rise up to about 2K, stays almost smooth all the way through to, well, 20K almost, or 18K. And it's that extra energy post 10K that is quite noticeable when you compare it to the others. Then the blue line is the T800, which in my particular version of the T800, you can see that below about 50 hertz it starts rolling off. When in effect, when I heard it, I didn't see that difference both towards the Neon or towards the DT600. Only very few seldom cases with the DT600 having slightly more sub bass, like really rumble. Then it has much more mid bass as compared to the DT600, and I suppose that's the main reason why it's got all that energy. But in no way does it is it an energy which bleeds in a wrong way into the mids or makes things sound muffled or overly warm or anything of the sort. No, it then starts going up, kind of more or less, flat until about 8K, when it starts rolling off, and that's it. And then, and then finally the green line. Hold on. And then finally the green line, which is the Neon. You can see it kind of has an in-between curve of the DT600 and the T800. It's got a little slightly more sub-bass extension than the T800. Again, the transition into the mid-bass is pretty nice. No real bleed, no nothing. Stays very flat from around, I say 1.5K until about 8K, stays almost flat. Very similar to the T800 actually, and I guess that's what makes the mids on both of these IMs again pretty spectacular. And then it rolls off, but it's got slightly more energy than the T800, and in certain instances that's the reason why I was saying that for some reason there was just a slightly better detail retrieval, in some songs, and then for another reason, well, for reasons I just can't explain, then that detail retrieval sometimes was better with the DT600. Anyway, that's the graph for you guys, and yeah, that's basically it. All right. Anyway, take care. Thank you. Bye bye.